Over the past years, I've taken different stabs at trying to journal and making it a habit because I've heard that successful people do journal and it's just a great habit to make into your daily life. So over the years, I've done a lot of different journaling. Some techniques have worked for me and majority of them haven't really worked for me. And it was just kind of a process of trial and error until I kind of got into the groove of what I actually liked and what I preferred doing and what actually kept me going back every single night to be able to journal. And over this past year, I basically made it a habit to journal every single night, and I was able to do that. And I'm really happy with my progress throughout the year of being able to journal every single night and making it a habit. Not only was I happy that I was able to make it a habit where I journaled every single night throughout this past year, I'm happy about the progress that I've been taking basically since I've started journaling. And I'm not saying that it was specifically related to journaling is why I've been having some success in my life. I think it does have a correlation attached with it that I have been able to do a lot of stuff that I've always wanted to do and journaling just because I'm taking notes and I'm writing out every single day how I'm doing. So I'm basically just going to flashback over the past year of my year journaling and my different techniques that I've done in the past. Maybe you like them and it just didn't work for me, or maybe they won't work for you, or maybe the ones that have worked for me will work for you, or vice versa. So I'm just going to kind of go over that. So when I say I've been journaling in the past and I've tried different techniques, these are basically all my different journals that I've tried in the past. They're quite different ranging. I got small ones, I got medium ones, and I got a really big one. And this is my first one that I actually started out with. And with this one being my first one, I've tried different techniques with it. And if you look through it, majority of it is actually empty where I didn't really actually use it. And I think at the start, I took out majority of the pages because it was just when I was younger and I don't know, I just think that I didn't want it in there. So that was kind of my first journal when I was in college. And what I started doing with it is I wrote out my goals in it and my workout plan. So it was just a different type of journal and I didn't really stick with that one. I think maybe I stuck with that one for a couple months and it was kind of on and off here and there, but it did get me into a habit to build up some of the disciplines that I would be trying to make in there because some of them I was having a different range group that I've talked about in the past where this is my highest priority goal that I want to get done throughout the day. And then I would just kind of rank it. And then I had ranking system each day. And then I ranked it out each week. And then I ranked it out each month. And that kind of kept me accountable for that time being, but it was a lot of work. And I think I only stuck with it for a couple months. And then I ended up giving up that I've moved on to different types of journals and different journaling techniques that some have worked and majority of them haven't. And one that I was probably honestly the most excited about was having this small one where I would just journal little thoughts throughout the day. If I ever had something that came up, I wanted to write it down really quick. And I was honestly most excited about that one. And if I look through it, majority of them I've only used looks like not many pages and then the rest are blank. And I was the most excited about this one. And it just never worked out for me. And honestly, I'm not really sure why. I just think that the purpose of it, a phone can replace it because it was just like if I have a thought, instead of having the journal carried around additional to my phone, I could just put it in my phone as instead. So I think there's that little scenario where it didn't serve a good enough purpose for me to want to carry around a journal every single day, as well as a pen or a pencil, because I would need to carry around both of those where for what I wanted to journal in it, I could just do it on my phone and I'm already carrying my phone around. So I think that's kind of a scenario why that one didn't really work out for me. And basically what has been working out for me and what I did, this is 2022. So that's the one I'm working on right now, but this was the last year one that has worked out for me. It's basically at the end of every single day, I don't really have a set time limit. It's not like I have to sit down and journal for 10 or 15 minutes. It's just sit down, journal, and write out the thoughts that I've had throughout the day, what I did well, what I did poorly, what I could improve on, maybe stuff going forward, and just planning out my day, maybe in advance or reflecting on my day that I just had. So I don't really have a set time limit, and I feel like I just try and get a paragraph within that day. I don't really have a set number of words I want to reach or a set time limit, and it's not really organized. It's just Jan 10. And then I'd write out my thoughts for the day, what I did well, what I didn't do well. So it's really plain, really simple. And the one other thing that I do with this that I find works really well is a monthly review on my goals and basically a monthly review on everything that I did throughout the month, what I did well, what I did poorly, what I can improve on, and basically map out my next plans for next month. Now, one thing that I think keeps me coming back every single day is that it's in sight. It's on my desk, and I'm usually at my desk before I head off or go to sleep. So it's in sight, and that saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. So if you have a drawer or you say put it away somewhere, I feel like you're less likely to end up journaling just because out of sight, out of mind. So you might not even think about it. Whereas if it's on your desk, you know that it's there. It's basically reminding you that, hey, you got to journal. Don't forget about journaling. I'm right here. It's extremely simple. And one thing about creating good habits is eliminating any obstacles in the way to actually coming to them. So even if it's just pulling out a drawer in your desk, that's one extra step that you don't have to do if it's just on your desk. So eliminate as many steps as possible and just have it in sight where you're going to see it. And it's going to remind you that, hey, you got to journal. One journal that I've had in the past is the 100-day journal, which I've heard really good reviews about it. And for me, I just don't think it really worked out very well. I found myself more so dreading that I have to go and do it, but it has a good system in place to keep you accountable, keep you doing what you need to be doing. But I just found I didn't find myself progressing towards that goal that I wanted to achieve. And I really found myself getting demotivated because I wanted to be up here and I was just going like this. So I just didn't find any motivation for it. And when I was approaching the end, I was more so relieved that I was close to be done. And once I finished, I was really relieved that I was done. So I think it does have really good principles to help keep you disciplined, but there's a lot of stuff in it. Like every single day, you have to say what you're grateful for, which is awesome. And then you basically have to repeat what you want to achieve in 100 days, which is great. The 3 micro goals that you have to do today that are going to get you there, your action plan for the day, wonderful things that happened today, 3 struggles you encountered, possible solutions for these struggles, your discipline, your overall day. Are you closer to your goal than yesterday? And that's where I found I was losing a lot of motivation because basically every single day I was checking no, and I felt like I was taking the right actions. Maybe I just wasn't taking the right actions. And then it's the final thought on the day. And then every 10 days, there's a review on your past 10 days. So I just felt like I was never really getting closer to my goal. Maybe I could have adjusted my micro goals that I was doing every single day and taken better action there. But I did go through the whole 100 days of that, and I think it just helps train you to keep that discipline to continually do it every single day. And I think that's what it has to be, where every single day you have to put in that time, you have to put in that effort, even if it's just 5 minutes, because honestly, I find myself just journaling for maybe 5 minutes sometimes at the end of the day, but it's just putting that continual effort in every single day, and then it just kind of builds that muscle over time, and then it basically just becomes automatic. Now, I know there's a lot of different ways that people go out there and journal. Some people go way over the top and they map out like their whole life in their journal, and if that works for you, continue doing that, because just do what works for you. And then there's other people that are at the other side of the spectrum, and I feel like I'm closer to there, where I kind of just do the bare minimum and I just try and do it every single day. And that's what works for me. So if you're trying to journal, I would say start small. If you're able to do that, maybe build up to going over the top and maybe writing out your whole schedule, your whole month, and just kind of doing a whole plan for yourself in your journal and just kind of find what works for you. But if you're starting out, I would say start small. Have your journal in sight so you're able to remind yourself. It gives you that reminder, and that's what you need. And you don't really need to set a time limit. You need to journal for this amount of time. I would say just make sure you do it at least once a day. Build that habit. Even if you have those really good days, you still need to journal because you want to track why you had a good day, what went well, and then maybe try and replicate that in the future so you can continue having those good days. I heard a really good podcast with Matthew McConaughey, and he was talking about journaling, and he said, even on those really good days when I didn't feel like journaling, I forced myself to journal because that's what keeps you going, and that just builds that habit, and it gives you that knowledge of what's going well, what's working for you, and you just got to have that knowledge of what's working for you and continue that. So even on the really good days, even on the really bad days, you want to make sure that you're continually journaling. So I find that's basically what works for me. And another thing that a lot of people might like, have a specific journal that you want to use, and maybe even a specific pen that you really like. So those are just some of the different tips that I think you could implement and maybe help you continue journaling or start journaling. And that's what's worked for me. So what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. So what works for me might also work for you. So if you do want to give it a shot, I do recommend it. I feel like I've taken a lot of good progress and steps in the right direction since journaling and maybe a little bit before, but I think journaling has had a big impact on my steps in the right direction. So I do really enjoy journaling, and I think it's had a big impact on my life. So thanks for watching. Go out there and journal a little bit, track your day, measure your progress, and I think it's a great way to kind of move forward. And I think that's another great aspect of journaling, is just kind of measuring your progress and seeing everything that you're doing. So go out there, journal a little bit, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.